Welcome in, everyone, to the State 48 podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Matthews, bringing you all things AZ. And today on the podcast, we have Miss Suzette, the queen of the airwaves here in Phoenix for 104.7 KISS FM, iHeart Radio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're a fan and a friend of State 48, so we love that.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I am excited to be here.
Me siento muy excited.
I'm excited.
We're going to vibe. I already know that. We already feel like familia here. So I always like to start off for people listening in, a quick little game to get to know you a little better. Okay? So don't be nervous. It's really simple. Right, first question. It's finish the sentence or fill in the blank.
Okay.
We don't even have a name for this yet. I just go with it.
That's good enough.
All right, ready? When I was younger, I wanted to be...
I wanted to be, I just wanted to be well off to be able to take care of my mom. That's all I wanted. I saw her work so hard that all I wanted was to be able to have enough money so that she never had to work again.
Already making us cry. We already talked about we're going to cry today. We already know that.
Yeah.
But wow.
I'm a llorona.
Me too.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's in our blood. All right. A classic song I still jam out to is...
A classic song? Oh, I stay on the new stuff all the time.
The new.
I do stay on the new. But when I go back, I'm going to have to take it back to stuff that my mom and my dad listened to. So, Ramon Ayala.
The old school.
Yeah, Sergio Vega, Intocable.
Yeah.
All that. Anything that brings me back to my roots and my childhood, it just feel good for me.
It just hits different.
It hits different.
It's like you put it on when you're cleaning, right?
Selena Quintanilla. It's like that's the stuff I go to every time.
I love it. All right. Something that would surprise you about me is...
I literally just mentioned this to you guys. I am the most patient person in the world.
Give me advice, please. Tell us more.
I didn't even realize this about myself until I had my baby boy. But, I feel like with Mexican families, Hispanic families, there's a lot of drama. There's a lot that goes on. There's different personalities. And stepping outside of myself, I've noticed that I'm the one that has kept it cool the entire time in the midst of the chaos. And I'm finally realizing that about myself, especially with my baby boy, seeing everyone get overstimulated and losing their patience. I'm just cool, calm, and collected. And I didn't realize that about myself.
Wow. Give me some of that. I need a 3, 2, 1 breathe moments. I got 3 kids though. So you times that patience, it gets lower and lower.
Maybe when I have more.
No, but that's such a beautiful trait to have, honestly, especially with children. I always try, obviously, I don't want to be a reactive parent, but I find myself reacting in such a, like you said, dramatic almost way.
And I also had a lot of people that didn't know me would see me and be like, oh, we thought you were so mean, that if we said anything, you would pop off. And I'm like, I don't want to give off that vibe, but they were like, no, once we meet you, you are not like that.
Chola up in here. I mean, when you walked in, I was like, damn.
I guess I like the chola style, but definitely don't act like a chola.
I love it. Well, we have to talk more about that. We'll get in. I mean, you're a mom, all the things that obviously comes with it as part of your story. So we'll talk more. All right. Next question. My biggest fear is...
My biggest fear is just losing everyone that I love. I think I am so attached to my family and my friends. We have such a close circle of friends and family that and we're getting older, and I'm seeing my parents getting older, and so as time goes on, that has become my fear. It's like, oh, one day, I'm not going to see them anymore. Or who knows, one day I won't be here. So just the thought of losing them, which I know it's part of life, is terrifying to me.
Yeah. We literally were talking about this in our morning meeting. Well, just a hint of this. Nico, do you want to interject in that?
That's different. I feel like that's a lot different. What I was talking about is I just don't personally have any fear of death. Right?
So not afraid.
It's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
But now the idea of you still being alive, but you've lost everybody else, that I'm not, that,
okay,
I guess I don't think about that as often, but that's a legit thing for sure.
You know, I never had a fear of death with myself until I had a baby boy.
Oof.
Because back then I was like, you know, if I go, I go. I feel like I've tried doing everything right. I don't have any regrets. But now that I've got a dependent, I'm like, yeah, I got to be here.
Yeah,
I got to be here for him.
I guess when we have a child, essentially, I'll probably feel quite a bit different about that because,
it's
I will want someone to depend on me.
I was like the girl that would go skydiving. I've been all over. I would fly 10 hours, whatever, like a bump. Now I have to I'm like shaking on planes. I am like the big, and I would watch my Nana and my mom be like that and be like, you guys are so dramatic, you know? And I'm like, whatever, like nothing's gonna happen to us. And now, ever since I had kids, it's gotten worse and worse. Like my anxiety is so much because I'm like, dang, I have like a lot to live for. Not that anything else wasn't, but it's so different with a child.
Oh yeah.
And now I've turned into like the biggest boo at times.
I think about all the things that I did in my 20s and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was just like living dangerously. Like I can't believe I have to let my kid do that now.
I know.
You know?
Just father son.
But yeah, I feel that anxiety and that stress too, and that's something that I'm currently working on because I don't want to live my life like that.
Right.
I feel like I've always been stressed, and now it got to a level that it's not healthy to live that way.
Right. No, absolutely. Should we just go skydiving after this? Or plan some adventure? Just get, fear factor in. Moms, take on fear factor. It's true. It's
you need it.
I thought you were going to say, I heard you're afraid of cats.
Oh, I am afraid of cats. I'm afraid. I don't consider them like my fear.
Okay.
But I'm
terrified.
Scared of them.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I had nightmares about cats. And I feel like when we look at each other, we just don't have that connection. And we're just like, we're going to stay away from each other. And you're cool over there. I'm cool over here. There's something about me and cats that.
I wonder, so you've had dreams. I wonder if that, have you Googled that?
You know, I haven't Googled it.
Have you had an experience? Like, have you had something that happened at all? It's just a fear.
Never had anything. Weird. There is a friend that has a cat, and that cat tries to come around me all the time.
I know.
And they're like, he likes you. Like, he really likes you. And I'm like, that's cool, but.
So I have been a cat dad at one point in my life, and I am currently as well. But I've found that cats, like all the people that tell me that they don't like cats or whatever, Mike is one of those people. I feel like it's just a level of patience. Like you have to be, so it's funny that you say that you're very patient, but now you don't like cats. Cause I feel like with cats, you actually have to warm up to them essentially. Like they want you to want them, as to where like a dog just wants to be there for you the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But a cat is like, oh, hey, no, you gotta work. You gotta work for this a little bit too. So it's interesting.
It's funny. They seem like they're skeptical. Like they're like, which I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So maybe we're both like,
yeah. So in real life, you're a cat.
That might be the
plot twist.
Yes, I think you might.
Okay, I did look it up. However, there's a lot of different meanings. What are the cats doing in your dreams? We could go different routes here.
So it was a recurring dream. I had it all the time when I was younger.
Oh.
I would be asleep and a cat would lay on my face. It would circle my face. It would lay down. And for some reason, I couldn't move in my sleep and I'd suffocate to death.
Okay. A little darker than I was.
Maybe stay away from cats.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not going to read what this means.
Yeah, so it's something weird. I feel like I'm not going to like the results of the meaning of the dream. So that's why I've never Googled it. And I Google all my dreams.
Yeah, me too. But this just means that you are not tapping into your feminine energy enough. Maybe you're suffocating yourself from that. I'm just trying to twist this a little bit.
Yeah. As we take another turn on the State 48 podcast.
Always. What question am I on? Okay.
This is what makes it fun, you know?
It is. It really is. Like tangents of cats and dreams. And you never had that dream again? It was only when you were a kid?
It was when I was younger, yeah. I think it stopped middle school time.
Interesting. Very interesting.
You're basically, so you're Catwoman, right? Because Batman is afraid of bats, so he becomes Batman. That's why he chooses the bats aspect.
He's figured this out for you.
I think I am Catwoman.
Yeah, you might be.
I wish I had the body of Catwoman.
I'm allergic to cats, so no. Okay, here we go. My top 3 priorities are back on the train track.
My family. Well, my health. My family. And my career.
In that order?
In that order.
You flipped it? Okay.
I flipped it because I can't be there for my family if I'm not here for myself. So
that part. I like that. Okay, my favorite song on the radio right now is...
Ooh. I hear all of them a million times.
I know.
Right now, Dua Lipa, Dance the Night. That's off the soundtrack of the Barbie movie because it's an upbeat, fun summer song. Okay. And every time I hear it and I talk into it, I take off my headphones and I'm just jamming. If you would see me by myself in the studio, you would think I'm nuts. You would think I'm crazy.
I think we need you just need to have a camera there because I'm always interested. It's like unveil what happens, on
and off air.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. But I'm also eating my hot Cheetos and
you're like, your fingers are red, your hair is in a bun.
I'm picking my nose. So, nobody's there with me. So I'm comfortable and, I do what I got to do and I'm multitasking. But it would be fun to record one day what it's like.
It's so interesting to me because we were discussing off camera. I've been in the media industry for 10 years, but that is a space that I just don't even know. It's just so unknown to me. So I love to hear more about the functionality, what does a typical day look like for you? But obviously, before leading into that, I want to know how you got into this industry as well.
Oh, man. Well, I've been in this industry for 10 years, which is crazy because it doesn't feel like it. But it started in Tucson. So I'm from Tucson, born and raised. And when I was in high school, I think it really all started with my mom. She was a single parent. And she worked so much. She had multiple jobs. So I adapted that from her. And I've always been such a hard worker. Never the brightest in the room, but always the hardest worker. And even when I was in high school, I joined student council and I was working hard, putting events together and all that. Yeah. So one of the things that I did to make high school a lot more enjoyable was reach out to the radio station and ask them to come DJ our football tailgates or our lunches for our spirit weeks and our pep rallies. And thankfully, they were very kind and they always showed up for free. And that was some of the community things that they did. And they DJ'd and I kept in touch with one of the DJs there that was just always hey, I have extra tickets to this show. I have this, I have that. So we kept that friendship. At a high school, I started working at In-N-Out Burger. I was in school. Yeah, they work you. It's a great job, but it's a lot of work. And I think at the time I had 3 jobs, and I was at the U of A. When he reached out to me, it had been probably 2 years that I had heard from him. And he was like, hey, I have a position available at the radio station. It's part-time, minimum wage. We just need someone that, show up in the morning, responsible enough to show up in the morning. 4 a.m., you'll probably be done by 10. And I was like, I can make that work, add another. I wasn't planning on quitting my other jobs, but I was like, I can add that one on so I can pay for school.
Wow.
And I did. I started working at the radio station. I liked it so much that I was there before and after school. And anytime I had that I wasn't working, I was there. And they were just like, okay, she wants to work. Let's give her this. Let's give her that. I started kind of tapping into all the different departments at the radio station. And my boss that gave me the opportunity, he's like, all right, I'm going to put you on air on a Sunday morning just so you can practice. And I did not want the spotlight. I was like, no. I was like, I'll do anything else. I'll clean out that closet if you need me to. Please don't. And he's like, no, I need someone on air and I'm going to train you. And I had no experience. He was just like, come on, I'm going to work with you. So he did. And we ended up having so much fun together on air. And it really felt like every other month I was getting promoted. And next thing you know, I'm being asked to move to Phoenix to be on 104.7 Kiss FM, which is such a legendary station. And I couldn't believe it. It all happened so fast. But it wasn't what I was looking for. It was something that I actually didn't want. I didn't want the spotlight. I wanted to do everything behind the scenes. But they had different plans for me, and it worked out. I ended up, really enjoying what I was doing.
I love that. That is so... He obviously saw something in you.
He did. Because when he wanted to hire me, I met his boss. And he wasn't too sure. He was like, I don't know if she really fits in. And he fought for me. He was like, she's got it. She can do it. I promise you. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people in that building were not happy about how fast I was moving up in the industry. But he just vouched for me, and he worked with me. So wow. I owe it to him a lot.
That's amazing. What was that like for you, being so raw in the industry and just being raw on the mic and all of that? How much did you learn and grow just being kind of thrown into the mix of things?
I was soaking it all in. I've always been the type of person that I'm going to continue learning. I'm never going to be good enough. There's always room for improvement. So for me, I took it all in. And at that time, I was probably 19, 20. I didn't hear what anybody else was saying. All the naysayers was not a thing for me. Wow. And I wish I have that now. I had that now.
Well, this generation, wouldn't that be nice if everyone just kind of stayed locked in and not listen to everyone else around them?
And social media was around, but it wasn't as big as it is
Facebook.
Now.
It
was like we were
our MySpace. No, that was a little before.
That was a little before, yeah, but it wasn't a big part of the industry like it is now. Like now, social media is part of our job too. So it was just exciting for me to do something fun, to not flip burgers or whatever. Like I was just like, I'll do whatever. I'll learn whatever. Just, give me a chance. And I took it and I ran with it.
So what was that moment like for you when you kind of realized, wow, like this is much bigger than I intended it to be, right? Like you wanted to be that girl in the back or maybe producer role or something of that sort. But when did you kind of realize that you could truly take off with this?
I think the moment I realized like, oh my gosh, this is big. This is like, bigger than me was probably when I got asked to join the John J. Rich morning show. Because to me, I was just, this Tucson girl that was doing her thing on the radio, talking in between songs. But when a show with that status in multiple cities that is considered, iconic, I was like, what? Why me? Like, what do you want? That's when I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm doing something here. And I got really nervous. I was just, I almost wanted to shut down, but I was like, put my big girl pants on and let's do it. Let's try it out. I haven't given up. So
that show is iconic. I mean, that's like my high school memories, turning on 104.7 and hearing like all the different calls and
the craziness.
What was it like working with them?
It was, I learned a lot, but it was wild. The schedule is crazy, which was something that was really hard for me to get used to. I never really got used to it because I'm such a nightlife person. And waking up at 2, 3 in the morning was just like,
oh no,
insane. But it was a crazy ride. It was fun. It had its up and downs, like some days were good, some days weren't. But the impact that show has is what made me love radio so much more. The reach that it has, being little girls that are Latinas, being able to like, be like, I can do it because I see you doing it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that wasn't even, what I was trying to do, but the impact meant everything for me.
Wow. That's true. It's so true. I love that. For you, when you were working at John J. and Rich, what are some good stories? I love some stories from the radio experiences. Lady Law gave us some good background on that.
Yeah. Oof.
Because you guys meet and interact with so many people.
Oh, so many. Yeah. I mean,
How about who is your favorite interview that you've ever gotten to do?
My favorite interview? It wasn't such an A-lister. It wasn't a big celebrity, but I think the realest, for me, I've never been a small talk type of person. And sometimes, these artists are doing interviews to promote their music or whatever they have coming out, which is, totally fine. We're working together on that. But the realest conversation I had that left such an impact with me was with Bryson Tiller. Such an introvert, and I'm such an introvert. So shy, and he's incredibly shy, but we got deep into our conversation. Even things that I think he shared with me that he didn't want out there, but he felt comfortable just in the conversation. And I've kind of held on to that audio and just put it away. and didn't really air like the meaningful stuff, because I felt like, you know, there was a moment where he was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'm saying too much, or this is, you know, something that I probably don't want out there. And I respect that. I respect that. We aired what, you know, he wanted promoted and all that, but just that meaningful conversation was the coolest to me with, you know, with the amount of interviews that we do.
Yeah. I mean, who else have you interviewed? Like, give us a list.
Oh, man. Oh, there's, I mean, it's been Sean Paul, LL Cool J, Kelly Uchis. I'm trying to think of like recent ones.
I did see that one.
Yeah. There's just been so many in 10 years. You know, there's a big gap because of the pandemic. Like, it all kind of like calmed down since then.
Yeah.
But before then, it was just like interview after interview after interview, which, you know, was kind of hard to prep for because you want to personalize every single one.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. How did you kind of craft that, not having any, you know, when you were in school, what were you studying? Was it journalism?
No, I actually went in for film.
Okay.
I wanted to do film. I wanted to be a director, a camera, holding the camera, whatever, anything behind the scenes.
We have another film student here in the room, and it's not me.
Hey.
Hi. That's awesome. So how did you kind of just craft, I guess? I mean, interviewing is a skill set, a craft. I mean, a lot of people go to school to get the job that you now have. So was it a lot of just learning as you go?
Oh,
and
yes.
Rapid fire?
That's really what it was. My mentor, my boss in Tucson, was really the one that kind of taught me everything. But then, you know, moving to Phoenix, like, I was away from him, so I had to learn my ways. And what worked for me and my personality was not really craft the interview, but just let it be real and raw, and just let it go places where you weren't planning it would go. That's when you see a shift in celebrities, because I feel like they're always, especially artists, they're just so ready to get asked the same questions, and then they're just, you can see it in their face. They're like, all right, you know, this is part of the job, I'm just doing it. But when you throw random things at them, or deep, meaningful conversations, that's when they're like, oh, okay, like, I'll talk about this. You know, I hadn't talked about this in
It's like a new level of a conversation.
Yeah, that's the type of conversations that I like with the artists, because they're still human.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm not treating them like they're just a product. Like, you know, tell me how you really are from a scale 1 to 10. Like, how happy are you at this moment? Things like that. And it really gets them in their fields. And I like that.
Who have you been nervous to interview?
Who have I been nervous to interview? You know, I wasn't doing the interview, but I was in the room and I was extremely nervous. And I wasn't even going to interview this person, but I was such a big fan, and it was Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I was completely shocked by how humble he is. He was coming up at the time, but compared to all the artists that, you know, we had interviewed and I had seen others interview, he was the realest to me. And since that day, he became my favorite artist.
I think, too, what's super cool about what you do is you see these artists coming up, and you're giving them that platform, and they're probably just as nervous. They're newer in the game or whatever it might be, and then you see them reach that stardom. So you become a fan of who they are as a person.
Yes,
right?
yes. That meant everything to me with Kendrick Lamar, because he was really, he didn't come in just taking care of business for himself. He was genuinely trying to hang out and learn everything about you. And he was in no rush. He was like, what are we going to do? Like, can we go eat lunch together? And we're all like, yeah. Like, nobody wants to go eat lunch with us. They're usually in and out, and we get it. But it was he was just very genuine.
You talked about being an introvert,
yes,
which I find so almost shocking, because when I see you, social media is such, you know, especially vivacious, doing the videos, and then obviously to be a personality on the radio. How do you fit 2 and 2 together?
Yeah, that was always a tough one for me, because on the radio, I'm in a room with a microphone, so I'm not looking at people's faces. You know, there is a team there that you get comfortable with, and your co-hosts. So yeah, when you put me in front of a crowd, I just shut down. And that was the biggest reason why I always wanted to be behind the scenes. And my boss was like, nope, You're going to do it. And I'm grateful for it because he got me out of my shell. But when I'm around, those who I'm comfortable with, my friends, my family, my husband, yeah, they see the crazy side of me. And it happens to land on social media.
I love it. I love your videos.
I'm so socially awkward. I am. I'm like the weirdest. And my husband, like, he calls it out all the time. We'll be at the store and someone comes up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I listened to the radio. Like, I can't believe, like, you're Suzette. And I freeze. Like, I get so weird. My husband's like usually the one that has like a really good conversation with them. And he's like, you come off like stuck up. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I genuinely get nervous. And he's like, so it's all right. We'll work on it. We've been working on it for like years.
Well, it's so interesting to me too, because I mean, and you can touch on this, just the industry. Like, you're going to the concerts. Mm-hmm. They're probably asking you to host all the shows or events and stuff like that. So just how do you manage that, like, as a more introvert, socially awkward person, I guess you could say?
Yeah. I mean, I know I have to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, I go in with all the anxiety in the world and I lost sleep over it the night before. God.
Do you have like a Sasha Fierce?
I guess it just has to click in. I mean, yeah. Beyonce's my girl. I love her. But it just I know the job needs to get done. And I've always been about, it's like in my blood to work hard. So when it has to be done, I'll get it done. But I'm like, ooh, holding back as much as I can. Just like, okay, let's do this. All right, let's go.
Well, that's so relatable because I feel like people might look at what you do or how you got there and be like, oh, I could never do that. I'm too shy. I can never do that. I am from a small town or I don't know the right people. But absolutely you can when you just sit there and you muscle up for the moment, right? But it's like a lot of people have those hesitations to not go for something because they believe they have to be something to fit the mold.
Exactly. And that's really my message. It's like you really can do whatever you put yourself. If you really want to do it, like, you will get it done. And it doesn't have to change you in any way. I'm still who I am. I'm still shy. I'm still introverted, but I'm getting it done and I'm going places. So really, anyone can do it if you really set your mind to it.
Yeah. You talked about change, and I think change is not the word, but more like transformative. Mm-hmm. How have you transformed from the beginning of your career to where you are now, starting in Tucson to now here in a huge market?
I think the way that I transformed was I became comfortable with who I was, because in such an industry, it's like, it's cutthroat. Everyone wants the spotlight. Everyone wants the show. Everyone wants more on-air time. And I don't have that in me to be fighting with people or be like, I'm not competitive. So for a while, I was like, okay, I got to change who I am. I need to be this. I need to be that. I need to be more aggressive, more out there. I need to be louder. Mm-hmm. And then I started to kind of lose myself because I was trying to figure out, what I should be or who I should be. And I came to a point where I was almost not depressed, but I was starting to, that's when I was introduced to anxiety, and I started to feel all these emotions that were stripping away my happiness. And when I finally realized with therapy and with support, I was like, I'm just going to be who I am. If they don't like it, they don't like it. Yeah. If they don't want it, they don't want it. But I need to be good for myself. I need to be happy. I need to be mentally healthy. So when I finally realized that I'm going to be who I am and I'm just not going to care what anybody thinks, is when I started thriving and when I started really enjoying everything in my life, not just my career, but everything outside of that. So that was the biggest transformation for me in radio, thinking I had to be something when truthfully I just had to be myself and authentic, and everything was going to align.
What were some of those like real tangible warning signs that you started to take note of? Okay, I'm not happy. Mm-hmm. I'm not, I do have these feelings of anxiety or whatever it might be. What was like some real tangible things that you noticed in your life?
That was, so when I stepped outside of myself, because I remember there was like a point where I was miserable and I'm like, why am I miserable? I was unmotivated. That's what it was.
Like to work?
Yes. I would wake up and And it was just not like me to not be motivated and excited to learn something or do something. And I thought something was like physically wrong with me. I went to the doctor and I was like, I think something's off with my body because like I'm not motivated. I'm not excited to do anything. Like I can't think straight. And my doctor was just like, okay, we'll run some tests. We ran tests and it's like everything's fine. You're healthy. He's like, just come back in a couple weeks, change your diet. I changed my diet and I still was like, why am I feeling this way? Then I started to really worry, like what's going on? I'm having anxiety. I'm having the worst thoughts, like this could happen, this could happen. And also I was like, I'm good financially. I just started, working in Phoenix. I have my mom, I have my dad, I have my family, I have a boyfriend. At the time it was my boyfriend. I was like, everything is fine in my life. Why am I was praying. And I was like, okay, something's up. I couldn't figure it out because life was great. That's when my doctor was like, I'm going to have you see a therapist. And I was like, oh, what? What is that? This was, I don't know, back in 2016. My family never talked about therapy.
You think about the Hispanic culture or even just like the later generation or earlier generations, that wasn't something you talk about. And if it was, you're like, okay, well, you're loca. Like you're, like it's only if, fill in the blank, and that's the stigma of it.
We were not educated when it came to like therapy and everything. And I was just, or mental health in general. And that's when I learned about it. And I was like, whoa, okay. Started going to therapy, started seeing a psychiatrist, and started to feel a whole lot better. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I think I got a point in my life where I was so, I guess, like oblivious to my childhood. It was not an easy childhood. So when I grew up and
childhood traumas came up.
Yeah, everything came up. I started looking back and I was like, whoa, things weren't easy for us. Like, I can't actually believe we went through this. And so all that also started coming out. And therapy really helped me. And thankfully I was able to introduce that to my mom. Mm-hmm. And it was very helpful for her because she has gone through it. So that's when I really started to work on myself.
Yeah. But I do see this trend of like this newer next generation, which is so powerful and amazing, of like going to a therapist. It's part of health. It's wellness. It's not just when something happens or something's wrong, right? And it's now that we can, introduce our parents to it, or people that, were cut off from that idea or didn't have the access to know that they could have a safe space to talk to, because you just kind of truck along and you pile up that trauma and then boom, life happens.
Yeah, that's how it was for them. It's like you put your head down and you work. You know what I mean? You just, suck it up. Ándale, ponte las pilas. Yeah. Oh, wow, it happens. That's life.
Yes.
But thankfully, with my patience, because...
Back to patience.
Introducing therapy to my mom was like, ¿qué quieres decir? Que estoy loca, And she was offended.
Yeah.
And I wasn't upset at her being offended. I understood, and I had to explain to her and teach her about it and tell her, what my experience was. It took a while, but she ended up doing it. And if I didn't have the patience to, introduce it to her or keep telling her about it, she would have never, ever, ever scheduled a session.
Wow.
And she was like, wow. How are we now doing this?
Why did I wait so long?
Yeah, and I'm thankful that she finally was open to it.
That's amazing.
It changed our lives completely, our relationship.
That's amazing. How has that inspired you now? You were single or you had a boyfriend at the time. You weren't a wife yet, a mother. So integrate all of those roles into what you already had going, like your identity. You were on the radio, you had your developing career. So how did kind of all of that just align for you?
I mean, if it wasn't for therapy and finding myself, I wouldn't have the family that I have now. I wouldn't have been able to keep, the incredible boyfriend I had at the time, because he he was dealing with all my craziness.
It's like, talk about patience.
He's like, he's like, you're patient? Oh, honey. No, props to him.
I love that.
He has dealt with a lot with me. But I had to check myself, and I had to get myself right. And, we have such a fun relationship, and it's so strong, and I'm just so grateful for him. And we have such a healthy boy. And we're both, I think, in the right state of mind to be raising kids right now. And my mom's living with us.
Oh.
So, and that's not always easy,
No.
Mexican families, like, that is not easy. And
it's the dream.
It's the dream. It is. But it takes work.
Mm-hmm.
And patience.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for us going to therapy and me figuring myself out at work, we wouldn't be able to have the incredible environment that we have at home right now.
So how do you manage it all?
I don't. I have my days.
Trick question. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to make the best of it every single day. And it's stress. I'm a stress bunny. I have anxiety for everything. But I just try to breathe and get through the day. And honestly, try to enjoy the most of it, because now having kids, didn't realize how fast time went by. Back then it was like, I have all the time in the world. Yeah. But now that I'm seeing, my baby boy about to be 2, I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. So I'm really trying to live in the moment. And whether that's at work, whether that's at the grocery store, taking care of my mom or taking care of my baby boy, doing things for my marriage, I'm trying to be in the now all the time. Just, every day is not guaranteed. So I'm trying to soak it all in. That's a constant reminder for myself. It's like, gratitude is the attitude. Let's do it.
How do you stay on track with that? And I ask that because that is a constant challenge for anyone, especially this day and age. Being a brand, a personality on social media. I mean, you're close to almost 100,000, right, followers, something like that.
So I don't even like thinking about the number,
girl.
That gives me anxiety, thinking like, oh my God, is that many people looking at me right now?
Oh my God, it's okay. You told us you pick your nose in private time. So it's like the shut off. Like, how do you shut things off? Because especially in the industry, it's fast. It's, hey, they're contacting you probably off hours saying, hey, you got an interview. Hey, can you do this? It's nonstop.
It is nonstop.
And so how do you keep yourself on track to be present, to be in the now?
I actually got this from, I think it was Kelly Clarkson. I saw her do an interview. She had said something along the lines like, we always work ourselves so hard until it's like vacation time, right? Mm-hmm. Then we wait until that 4-day or week to reset and try to get ourselves going again, to be on the go and nonstop. But she's like, why are we always waiting for our vacation? It's like, why not take a Sunday where you do something you wouldn't normally do, where you treat it like a vacation day? Mm-hmm. And I've applied that to my life now, where it's like, Sunday, I am not touching my phone. I am not looking on social media. I'm not looking at my email. We are going to go here, and I'm going to be in the moment, enjoying my baby boy, my family, my friends, and that's it. And just doing that at least one time a week really kind of makes me de-stress and relax. It makes me feel better going forward. And sometimes it's like, doesn't feel like it's enough, but you make it enough because you deserve it. You deserve that time to take a breather, because then we're too hard on ourselves, especially with our Mexican blood. It's like, you are trained to work nonstop, and it's just in us.
I love that. When I left the Cardinals, I actually did that because obviously every Sunday was game day, and it was all day into obviously the week, and then game day again. So for me, when I left, I stopped everything on Sundays. Yeah, and I need to reapply that, because then life started happening. And do my business, and then now I sense that I'm like, okay, when's the unplug? Like, when are you just like present there? And I'll try little nooks in the day, but to take a whole day, it's so refreshing. It has to like implement and be like a trickle effect into the week.
And it doesn't even have to be like on the weekends. Like you can make that
Right.
a Wednesday, a Thursday, depending on everyone's schedule. But obviously, you know, the weekends are usually easier. But that's when you try to get all the fun stuff in.
Yeah.
You know, and it sometimes can also be stressful. It's like, we're doing this, we're doing that.
I write
we got
it with
this birthday
kids.
party. We got this. It's like,
Girl,
Yeah.
a trip to Costco is stressful. So let's talk about what your day-to-day looks like
okay.
as you're, you know, going around making all the moves,
Yeah.
doing your show. Just give us some insight, especially me, because I'm super curious into that realm, that, you know, radio life and what it looks like, even just sitting on in the show.
And I'm such a schedule person too. Like I
Me
am
too.
like I like
Highlighter.
doing the same thing every single day to know what's coming. You know,
Yeah.
I like to be prepared. For me, I love making breakfast. That is my thing. Don't ask me to make dinner
What
or
you
lunch.
making us?
I like when it comes to huevos rancheros, chilaquiles.
yeah.
Like I throw it down in the kitchen when it comes to
We're
breakfast.
hungry, so you just like
Sorry.
You hungry. Okay, so
I actually
chilaquiles
went
got
to
it.
lunch before this.
And you didn't ask me
Nice.
if
No, I just
needed
left. I had to
anything.
go.
Rude.
I had to go.
So I wake up excited to cook. And my mom's like, it is too early. It's like 6:30 and she's like, it's muy temprano. Like, how are you making breakfast already? And I'm just like, I'm gonna make it now or I'm not making it. And she's like, okay. So I'll cook up breakfast. That's my thing. It's like me time.
Yeah.
I cook, I get creative. That's just like my way of like, I don't know, waking up and feeling creative and feeling in control of my space. So I make breakfast. We all eat together. I get ready for work. Thankfully, I have my mom there so she can take care of my
That's
baby
a
boy.
blessing.
It is. She is an angel for doing that. I get to work, and the first show that I take care of is I'm on in San Diego on Channel 933 at 10 in the morning. So I get to work around 9. I prep. I do my San Diego show. Then I do my show in Tucson. That's Mega 97.1, which is a Latino pop station.
Fun.
Very exciting because it's like your Karol G's, your Bad
Yeah,
Bunny,
Bad Bunny.
Anuel, Raul Alejandro, you know, all those artists, which is first time
How do
ever.
we get that here? I want to hear that. Okay.
I have been telling them
Hello.
at work, it's like, yo, let's bring this station over here. You guys don't know how popping it is, especially with the amount of concerts that we get here with those
Yes.
artists.
Yes.
We would be giving away tickets like crazy.
I would be literally old school calling in, dialing in
Yes.
to get some of that.
Absolutely. Me too. But yeah, so I do that show, and then I do my afternoon show here in Phoenix, 2 to 7 on Kiss FM. And while I'm, doing my shows, I'm also doing social media videos, Instagram reels, and posting.
So you're there from 9 a.m.
all the way to 6.
6 p.m.
Yeah, doing my
Okay.
shows, recording my commercials, any meetings that we have going on. Sometimes we have like 3 meetings a day where I have to, record a little bit, go to the meeting, get that done, and then come back into the studio. So I am in and out of the studio like a maniac.
Oh my gosh.
Handling all social media platforms because it's not just Instagram. It's like you got to do your TikTok. So yeah,
the TikTok.
Yeah. So when I do get off of the radio station, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I get home.
You have to be on.
I have to be on. That's the toughest thing for me is being on. I shut off. I feel bad sometimes because I get home and my mom wants to talk and she's mad and tell me everything that she talked about with my tias. And I'm just like, I don't want to talk. I talked all day.
I know.
And she's like, she's like, I have no one to talk to. She's like, you're a 1-year-old that doesn't want to talk back to me.
That is amazing. No, I totally can relate to that where you're like, just no one talk to me. I don't want to talk anymore. I have nothing left to give.
Yeah.
How do you come up with your content every day for the radio shows?
For me, I mean, everyone does it differently, but I prep where I'm trying to see what's happening in the celebrity world, locally, what's happening here in Arizona, or important news that people need to know, fun facts, just to, be like, oh, you hear something, you go home and you share that with whoever. But I also try to personalize it and whatever's happening in my life, I like to share.
Yeah.
Like our refrigerator broke the other day and we literally tried taking it apart before having to buy another one, and I posted it on social media. It was just nuts. And talking about little things like that are relatable, that people are like, oh, we are the same.
Yeah,
I'm not alone, or we're going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Recommending movies, whatever people want to hear about, and just anything that will make them feel good, especially giving away the tickets with how times are right now. And, you know, everything is incredibly expensive and people just want experiences and they want to get out. They want to see their favorite artists. That's my favorite part of the job, is being able to give someone Taylor Swift tickets they couldn't afford. Yeah. And they're crying because they can't believe what they're about to experience. Like, that makes it so much more rewarding for me.
That's amazing. I would love that. Just like Oprah. I would feel like Oprah. You get a card. You get a car.
You get this. You get a house.
But it's true. Like, you're able to give them that experience, right? Which is much needed during these times, like you said.
And I'm always pitching things in our meetings. It's like, oh, can we give money away? Can we give, you know, gas cards? Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we give movie tickets? Like, anything that can save someone a buck. Yeah. Let's do it.
I love the pay the bill.
Yeah, paying the bills and all. And sometimes they're like, all right, Suzette, chill. Like, you know, leave us broke.
But it's so cool. It's the ripple effect and the impact that you can have on the community.
Yes.
That's I hope you give some love to State 48.
I know.
Over here.
What show you guys want to go to?
Give us the plug. No, we just love the connection here. We know that you are such a friend of ours, so we just love to, you know, have you on this platform and continue to share what you're all about.
Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. I love what you guys do, and I've always been a fan, so I appreciate being able to be here with you guys.
Well, we're a fan of you. Official. It's official. All right. Well, you're coming back, and I hope you like your swag that we got you and shot for the hubby.
Yes.
For Father's Day. Don't forget.
I know.
And then the baby boy. We have 2 tees that my boys have. They're like matching. That Nico over here created. Hot Mess. You have to get it for him.
Okay.
It is so cute.
I need to get a newborn onesie too.
You can get that in a Hot Mess.
What?
Yeah. I haven't really said anything, but yeah.
I didn't realize what was happening.
Is that breaking news right now?
It's breaking news.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you're going to make me cry.
There are the tears.
Oh my gosh.
Baby number 2 on the way.
I just got chills. Wait, you haven't even announced that?
I haven't announced it.
Hubby knows, right?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, he knows.
Congrats.
Just the family knows.
Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. I know. I feel like we need to go get you some onesies. That's going to be going down right now.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Wow, we wish you all the best, and just get ready, girl.
I know. Next time you see me, I'm going to be like,
we're going to have a whole motherhood pregnancy podcast here ready to go. But yeah, it's more to the fun.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
More fun. More, like you said, blessings.
Blessings, of course.
And more patience, girl.
Get ready. Now it's really the test.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
I need some points. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you.